Pretty exciting game of basketball. Down some key guys, didn't play our best, and kudos to the Cavaliers. They went out and took it from us, looking more and more like this is just the class of the East. We snapped their winning streak, but now they snapped ours. So touche, game on, I guess. Pretty big. They certainly weren't picking on him. I don't think.
I think he's not that big.
Wasn't
This
quite
has him
enough.
as 6'9".
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
What?
He's huge. He's sneaky huge.
6'9", 205.
Monster. I said LaMelo was my league best MVP as a player. As a team, for me, it's got to be the Rockets. That team, super deep, super scrappy. They had like the best plus minus in the third quarter. I think they recently asked Ime what he attributed that to, and he said obviously being able to cuss him out at halftime. So vintage Ime, obviously.
Strip the bolts on them. Shoulda never sent them to pick up the work for them. Sprayed the park and had my shit inside the car. Marcus Smart Boy was shooting with a 36 on him. Said if he wasn't in the rush, they was all goners. Tech cursive on the Jets.
All right. Greetings, Chudlings. Welcome to another episode of Chuddy's Corner. It is Sunday, December 1st, and the Celtics lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers 115-111. Snap, I think a 7-game win streak, the longest streak in the NBA. Snapped. This was a tough loss. Celtics led by 12 at the end of the third, ended up losing by 4. We'll talk about that fourth quarter. First, Chuddy, I'll bring you in. Welcome aboard. How you doing? How you feeling?
I mean, could be feeling better, but could be feeling worse too. Pretty exciting game of basketball. Obviously, down some key guys, didn't play our best, and kudos to the Cavaliers. They went out and took it from us, looking more and more like this is just the class of the East. So we snapped their winning streak. It was a little greater than ours at home, and now they snapped ours. So touche, game on, I guess.
Yeah, you mentioned Celtics were down. No Derrick White tonight. No Jaylen Brown. Jaylen was like a non-COVID illness. I don't think I saw him on the bench. Derrick White was on the bench, obviously, in a David Pastrnak Bruins jersey, standing out, looking like your cousin from Boston. It would look to be getting around all right in his foot. So I don't know if that's maybe just like a little precautionary thing with the back-to-back.
Hopefully.
So hopefully both those guys back tomorrow. But yeah, even down those guys, I thought they played, we never really played like great, but I thought we played well enough to win, except just down the stretch. I mean, it really came down to Donovan Mitchell just kind of going crazy as we see.
Yeah.
But like, to me, I think of Donovan Mitchell as one of like the best players in the league, and I didn't realize like how well he plays specifically against the Celtics. He's averaging almost 30 points a game, the most points of anyone besides Michael Jordan against the Celtics. So like,
Good company.
I don't know. Is he that guy outside of playing the Celtics? Because like he was in that fourth quarter there when he just wanted to make shots. It was Scal kind of mentioned it after the game. He's like, there's not a whole lot that Joe can like do differently because he's just drilling pull-up shots like right in players' faces. Like there's not a whole lot you can do when you guys playing like that. So maybe we can just start there and work our way back on the fourth quarter. So
Yeah,
what'd you make of all that? We were missing some key shots and they were not.
Yeah, Donovan was incredible pretty much in the fourth quarter. And I mean, I don't want to say like he just plays like this against the Celtics. He's obviously really good. But it does seem like always brings his best against us. Whereas he's actually been on like a bit of a cold streak for the last 3 or 4 games. Haven't been playing well at all. And honestly wasn't really having a great game. He had 15 points going into the fourth quarter and then obviously scored 20 points in the fourth quarter, 6 of 6 from the field, 4 of 4 on threes, 4 of 4 on free throws. And he really just took the game over. Even down the guys, like you said, the Celtics played pretty well, played a great third quarter, had themselves in position to win. And then Mitchell just completely took over down the stretch. And that was kind of it. It happened really fast. Seemed like the Celtics were, leading most of the way, treading some water, and then I don't want to say fell apart. It wasn't even like the Celtics really stopped. It was for a while. It was like we would score 2, Mitchell would come right down, hit a 3. He misses any of those pull-up threes, and the Celtics might have enough to hang on. So I think that is the first place you got to start. Just credit to Mitchell, some unbelievable shot making down the stretch, and not like it was even really terrible defense. A couple pull-ups on Drew off pick and roll with Al and KP coming up on him. So we're making him work, and he was just absolutely dominant. So. Tip the cap.
You mentioned it there. We did kind of get like we kind of mathed ourselves there for a little bit. We were making some pretty like tough twos and then they would just come down and score. So they kind of chipping away. Like it went from, 6, kind of holding them at around 6 points. So then it was it felt like 3 or 4 possessions in a row where it was like, they got to, they gained a point on us. They gained a point on us. When we were scoring, but they were still gaining a point. So that math that we usually let loose on teams was kind of getting let loose a little bit on us there. So I think Mitchell scored like 11 straight points too for them or something like that in the fourth. So he was he was raising up from like anywhere. I think Tatum too. We got to talk a little bit about. I think those 2 free throws going against Garland. Like I just feel like I know that there's contact and that's something we can definitely get into because I tweeted out during the game. Like I feel like the lack of whistle for him is crazy, but I do feel like that's pretty much exactly what the action was calling for, getting him on Garland and twice going to the hoop and not being able to convert either one. It's a tough break. He obviously had a great third quarter. I think he scored like 17 or something. Did he have some crazy amount in the third quarter? Tough couple of plays down there in the stretch though in the fourth. And obviously I think that's where the game was lost pretty much. Those 2 drives in a row where we didn't score and they went down and scored. And next thing you know, we were the ones playing catch up.
Yeah, that was kind of it. And Tatum kind of took the game over in the third, like you mentioned, and then Mitchell took the game over in the fourth. I thought in the fourth quarter was really where you could tell we were missing White and JB on both ends of the court. I mean, obviously those are 2 bodies. I mean, Brown usually the main matchup on Mitchell, a little more length. I don't want to act like that would have made a difference because Mitchell was honestly just incredible. But still, obviously 2 of our best perimeter defenders not out there and 2 of our best shooters and scorers, and we really missed it. I think they made a more concerted effort to take away Tatum and take away our 3-pointers, and it got into that driving, matching up on Garland, which was working. I mean, Tatum was killing him in the mid-range. He made a couple in a row, I think, with like 4 or 5 minutes to go. I think we're putting up us up 6, up 8, what have you. And then it seemed like they made more of an effort even. And then it really, like you said, came down to those 2 possessions where I'll take those looks 10 times out of 10. I mean, that's pretty much exactly what we want, especially that last one, the layup. Probably got hit. Still, obviously, want him to finish. And I mean, I don't know. It's tough. I don't want him to like adjust what he's doing, but it did seem like he had the mid-range, especially with Garland on him. He's just so much bigger. It seems like he doesn't even see him. So maybe instead of trying to force it when you know you're not getting the calls, pull up and try to hit a mid-range. You could squabble there, but overall, again, we talked about we don't want him dribbling the clock out, settling for a 3. So driving hard when you force a mismatch, not finishing a layup. Like at the end of the day, tough result, but I'm going to live with those looks every time.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it was exactly what they want to get, but it just was tough to have the 2 back-to-back getting exactly what you're hoping for and not having it work out.
Of course.
I have a question. So eventually, too, the game it kind of, is it Kenny Atkinson? Is that the name of their coach?
Yeah.
So they kind of got us like, in an interesting spot where we're down 3 and they just basically were fouling like every time we crossed half court. So like what was kind of stopping us from, as soon as they saw the defender coming at him, just getting into a shooting motion and just trying to shoot?
Easier said than done, obviously. But they were
I
calling for it on
feel
the
like people are always doing that.
Well, yeah.
Well, in the last play, that one was tough. That Pritchard didn't just raise up. But
I also feel like with a lot of them, there's still so much time left. It was more because I think Joe's generally does the same strategy of fouling up 3. It was more just how many back and forths it went on for. So I think it was like the Celtics were just hoping along the way. I mean, I think that was 8, at least 8, maybe 10, 12 straight points of free throws. And if we just got 1 miss, then all of a sudden only need 2, the whole thing swings. So I think we were kind of trusting our own free throws.
And the inbounds too.
Right. Which, we've seen, and we almost got one. I mean, that last one, they threw it up there to Niang and no one was able to get a hand on it. But I think it's kind of like, you want to play that game? Fine, we'll play it. And I mean, we were matching them stride for stride. But I think I saw the last 34 seconds took 17 minutes real time. And I don't think anyone missed. I mean, I was looking at the stats, and like at the end of the day, the Cavs won the fourth quarter 43-27. But if you take away the free throws, it was probably, like 33-17 or something. I would take away 10 from both sides because I don't think anyone missed. And that just kind of like warped the final stats because I don't really think the Celtics like fell apart on defense. That 43-point quarter isn't indicative of us kind of falling asleep on defense. It was just Mitchell going crazy and then just a ton of free throws both way. If anything, it was more our offense that even with all those free throws, only scoring 27 points in the fourth quarter. And I think Pritchard had another 14 or something in the fourth quarter. A lot of those
17.
Obviously 17 in the fourth. Okay, there you go. And a lot of those were probably him shooting those free throws at the end. But still, I think that was where it was catching up to us, where it was Tatum and then it was Pritchard, and it was we were having a hard time coming by much else on offense. We had a lot of decent looks. I thought it Drew. Obviously, tough night, didn't provide much. No big deal. Could have had a few shots. Al, I thought, had a good night, but had multiple chances at what felt in the moment like it would have been a dagger to put us up again, like double digits with 5-6 minutes left. We just got good looks, couldn't get him to go. And at the end of the day, I think not enough help for Tatum and oddly Pritchard as it was.
Yeah. He had 17 points.
Wow.
5 of those were at the free throw line. I kind of want to just go. This is a little bit different from what we've been talking about, but I feel like we miss way too many shots like at the basket. And when a game we end up losing the game by only 4, it felt. I don't know if you sort of feel that it might be an eye test thing. I couldn't really find. I was trying to look up like a stat for like Celtics field goal percentage, like that in like a layup situation or something like that, like around 2 feet or whatever. I couldn't really find it, but have you sort of noticed this in games? I feel like we're like when we have bad games, it starts with like I feel like missing these kind of like bunnies around the hoop. I don't know if you've seen that. If you agree with that.
I don't know about that. I think it probably stands out more when we lose a close game. But it's probably nothing like crazy from any other team. And again, I think missing the guys we were, Jaylen, obviously like one of our best finishers inside, usually a guy who can get to the hoop. And I thought tonight, the biggest difference was on offense, even with some good guys in there, just clearly not as many guys that can pressure defense. So it was a lot harder for us to get the defense in rotation. I thought, Hauser played well. Peterson, good minutes. He played well. But the Cavs aren't overreacting to those guys. So it's a lot more forcing Tatum to create. Whereas, if White and Brown are on either side, they catch the ball, they can create. Everyone's driving, kicking. You just didn't see as much of that tonight. And I don't think it was like Celtics' problem as much as just kind of was a result of the personnel. And they did the best they could, and obviously wasn't quite enough. But I don't. To answer your question, I don't think there's any like actual concern on my end. I think probably just a tough night in that regard, and like you said, not getting a lot of calls.
I'm gonna try to find that stat, but
I'm into it.
But yeah. You mentioned Peterson too. That was certainly a shock to I think everyone watching the game. It certainly wasn't the guy I was expecting to see get extended run. I think he ended up playing like over 23 minutes or something like that, which is like almost doubled his career high, almost close to his total career minutes. He's played like 30 minutes like his whole career.
I'm sure all of those minutes were in end of game, like not real like
not like
minutes in a meaningful game against the number 1 team in the East. So props to him. And we've kind of talked about Joe, where it seems like he's almost just keeping guys on their toes. Like with one night, he dusts off Kada, then he dusts off Tillman. Walshy's playing rotation minutes. Tonight it's Peterson. So I think partially a result of the guys we didn't have, partially maybe like the matchup, but it's been cool to see. And I would say across the board, every guy who he's turned to has come in and handled it pretty well. I thought Peterson had a good night tonight. I mean, again, he's capable of what he's capable of, but I thought he filled the role. I thought he battled on defense and really did a solid job. He's pretty big. They certainly weren't picking on him, I don't think. Well, I mean, he's not like small, like they're not just going to abuse him.
I don't know. I think he's not that big. Like he looked like he could have been like a college guy, like running like,
Yeah, I guess, but
not to like I said, this is probably a thing like where Pritchard, where it's like he's probably gigantic amongst my friend group.
Well, no, but I bet Peterson's probably 6-7 inches taller than Pritchard. If I had to get Peterson looks like he's like 6'9". Pritchard's like 6'1".
Yeah.
So
let's see if I can find.
I just mean he's not like that small where he's a liability. I didn't think. I thought he was busting his ass and making some plays.
No, I didn't think so either. I thought he was being kind of a dog on defense. There's a few plays where he completely clamped up Garland too.
Yeah,
it was great. It was great Peterson minutes.
Yeah, I was happy with what I saw. I thought at the end of the day it was just like when you saw that Drew just for whatever reason didn't have it tonight. I thought Porzingis played well, kind of ran out of gas, and we weren't really going to him. And it turned into it was basically Peyton and Tatum trying to do everything, and wasn't.
This has him as 6'9".
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
What?
He's huge. He's sneaky huge.
6'9", 205.
Monster.
That's crazy. Interesting.
Yeah, dude.
All right. Well, yeah. Shout out to him. Yeah, I guess he's bigger. Yeah. I mean, maybe I just never seen him out there enough to know. Taller than Tatum.
Well, probably.
This is Tatum 6'8", 210.
Tatum 6'10".
I know, and it says 210. So I don't know about that. I think that they're pumping his number up and pumping Tatum's down.
Seems possible, I guess.
Either way, great Peterson minutes though for a guy who, like, when I think he first came in, you could almost hear like a collective gasp amongst like Celtics Twitter of like, what the fuck is Joe doing? But
Yeah.
honestly, to me, it's like if you're gonna be into like Joe being crazy and like nuts and psycho, like you got to get psyched up when he's putting a guy like Drew Peterson in. You got to be like, okay, obviously there's something going on here, and just sort of trust the process. So like when I see that, I buckle up and go, okay, let's see what the sensei's got in his head here.
Right. And again, I think, like I said, I think the process for the most part has been very sound. And when he had most of the buttons he's pushed have been the right ones. And again, tonight, I don't know. Obviously, you're missing 2 perimeter guys. It creates an opportunity, but he came in, he hit multiple threes, had some rebounds, held his own on defense. So
8 points, 4 rebounds, not bad at all.
There you go.
A neither plus nor minus. So that's
the
ultimate rule is do no harm, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely cannot complain about the Peterson minutes. I thought he was very solid.
Yeah.
So,
honestly, and he went 2 for 5. I just think putting up 5 threes is like, to me, that's what the coaches are probably looking at more. Is like, you're not afraid to like put up shots because he's obviously in there for the offense. I mean, down the stretch when they needed guys in to shoot a 3 or make free throws, he was in. He was in with like 5 seconds left in the game. So
yeah, he's a sniper. So I mean, again, goal is pretty much, I would say, to turn him into another Hauser. Is like keep churning out Hausers up in Portland is kind of the goal. And if we can get
he has a similar origin story too, right? Wasn't Hauser like a Heat like G League guy, and we got him away from the Heat, and same thing with Drew Peterson.
Yeah, gotta love it.
So similar origin story.
Love it.
All right, let me see what else I had from this game. I thought we did a good job forcing turnovers. The Cavs came into this game as like one of the best teams in not giving up turnovers. I forget. I think at one point, I know they had at least like 17 at one point. I know they said in the broadcast. I don't know if they finished. They finished with 17.
That's what it was,
So, this is a team I think that averaged around like 12, which is I think 6th best in the league. So, again, I thought they played well enough to win. They never really played it what we're used to. Obviously, missing those 2 guys changes everything. Like you said, just for defenses aren't reacting as much to as good as these other guys, these bench guys can be in their moments. But overall, too, and again, this is kind of a hard night to judge it too. But I was going to talk a little bit about the offense without Tatum. I don't know if we can really in the context of tonight's game, but just because tonight's game, the offense without Tatum, I think at one point it was like Peterson, Pritchard, Hauser, Cornette, and like Drew Holiday out there or something like that. Because Drew was experimenting with the. We came very, very close to the all-white lineup.
Yes,
which would have been a bit of a mind fuck.
Startling.
All right, startling. All right, you got anything else specifically about the game? I'm trying to look. The Cornette block and the Mutombo, that was great. I feel like those things are always fun, but then when you lose, it's kind of like, I don't want to get too. I don't want to get too happy about that moment.
Yeah, it's like the very, very end of the game when the foul game finally ended and the timeout was utilized. The missed free throw attempt, unreal missed free throw. Pritchard stepped over the line, so he got a lane violation, but just hard off the front rim. If he didn't move, that would have come right back to him.
I know, he didn't even need to move, It
was just a beauty of a missed free throw. Obviously,
you know he had that in his bag, though.
Yeah,
he just got a little, he's just so excited. He can't not be moving. So it's like next time he does that, he should honestly do it from like a foot behind. Like how far behind the foul line can you stand during a foul shot?
I don't know that there's like a limit, but
well, he should. If he's ever gonna try to get, he should be like a foot back, because then like he won't be able to stop himself from moving forward. He's a motor guy. He's just always moving.
Right. Yeah,
but otherwise pretty well executed.
Yeah, it would have been cool to see. I saw, bringing in Cornette and Porzingis, like, all right, see what we're doing, but just wasn't quite meant to be. A shame, certainly, but good bit at it.
For a while there too, I think the spread for this game was 1.5. So for a while, that last 30 seconds, obviously they ended up winning by 5, but that must have been. You were looking at a series like if they just kept fouling and going back and forth. I mean, it would have literally been a 1 or 2 point game. So it would have been a fun ride for anyone who took that. Sure. In that same vein, Chuddy Bar 2 straight now. Bang bang. Chuddy Bar's back on track. 8 for 10 on the year. We're up over 20 units on the year.
That's massive.
So if you're not tailing the Chuddy Bar parlay,
what are you doing?
It might be too late to start now because who knows where we're going to go now. But pretty good run. 8 wins, I think, is more than I had all last year. So.
Love that.
The new system's working. The new system is in place and it's working well.
Massive.
All right. Anything else on this game? Celtics haven't won a regular season game in Cleveland since 2021. We talked
Wow.
a little bit in the preview before. I feel like that is an arena, although it was very quiet to start this game, but I feel like by the end of the game, it was pretty loud.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. As the game was starting early, I thought it didn't feel like it had the same juice as the first Celtics Cavs matchup, and I don't know if part of that was a cup game. Part of that is the Cavs obviously were 17-0 coming into Boston. And, part of that is maybe just my own bias that watching the Boston broadcast feeling like it was more lit. But like you said, it certainly got there by the end of the game, had that feel to it, despite the guys missing on both sides. It did definitely get there with the playoff feel to it. So I thought good game, good learning opportunity for the Celtics. Obviously an unfortunate result, but I love the reps we're getting out there. And again, I think it keeps becoming apparent that if the 1 and 2 seeds aren't the Celtics and the Cavs, it would be pretty surprising. It seems like they're on a tier of their own. You can argue whether or not the Cavs are on our tier, but if anyone is making the case, it's certainly them. And you saw it tonight again. They played really well as they did the first time against us. So if there's a matchup right now, this is kind of it in the East. Yeah,
Scal brought up a good point too. That if their bigs just started shooting more threes, I mean that's pretty much all they're kind of missing in their recipe. But
easier said than done.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously not everyone can do what we do, but it does seem like that's kind of I think it's something that does set them a little bit apart from us. If you had to look at something.
I don't think Jared Allen's suddenly going to start launching 3 balls. So.
And well, by the hell not. They probably said the same thing about Horford a while ago. All right, let's give out some Chuddy Chains. I think it's your turn to go first today.
Well, I gotta give it to Drew Peterson. I know we already kind of said what there was to say, but again, these stay ready guys, and this was probably the stay readiest of them all this season. For Peterson, getting the call, playing great minutes on both ends. Couldn't really have asked for more on a night where we needed guys to step up. He did his job, and I hope he's earned himself some other opportunities down the stretch where he can see if he can get some minutes, especially at a night where we need it, and get confident from the 3 ball. And again, the season's all about finding cool shit and side quests. And even in a loss, I think that's one you could argue that we won the side quest.
Yeah, solid side quest win. Fuck. I mean, there's not really any slim pickings, I think. I guess I'm going to give it, I think, probably to Pritchard. I feel like he's won a lot, or at least from me. The 17 points in the fourth quarter, I think that the way he was going to the basket, too, some of those slow-mo replays they were showing of him, like, we could see his face. He's got such an intense face when he's, like, going to the basket. It's pretty great. So I think just that level of intensity I saw in those replays will probably lock in his Chuddy chain for me. So he finished with 24 points, 7 rebounds. I'm still always impressed by the amount of rebounds that he gets.
Beast.
I think anyone who's his size, if you're getting 7 rebounds, you're getting a good chance at a Chuddy chain. Yeah. We also snuck a block in there,
that last
too,
rebound on the missed free throw would have been the big one to have, but alas.
The rebound that wasn't.
Alas.
But alas. Yeah, he would have definitely won your Chuddy chain then, but
yeah.
I'll give it to Pritchard tonight. So Peterson and Pritchard, I think those are good.
Yeah. That's fair.
Good for the chainage. All right. We'll switch it over. Let's head to do some around the NBA, pay some bills first. Shout out to the sponsor of Chuddy's Corner. That's Nick Prano Real Estate. Check out nickprano.com for all of your real estate needs. That's nickprano.com. Are you always listening in your head to make sure I'm spelling that right? Because I'm always worried I'm just raw dogging it. I don't have it written down or nothing.
Literally never listening.
Could be spelling it wrong this whole time. Check out nickprano.com for all of your real estate needs. He's got you covered on anything, big or small, local, across state, cross country, across the world, across the universe. Check out nickprano.com. All right. What do we got for around the NBA? I think I bookmarked a few things I was going to talk about, but you could start us off.
All right, we'll do. So first, just some unfortunate news right after we're talking about LaMelo Ball perhaps being the League Pass MVP. He's hurt now, expected to miss at least 2 weeks. Just a massive bummer, and a season full of injuries. One of the most fun guys to watch, a guy who's obviously struggled with injuries his whole career. Hope this isn't anything too serious. If it is just 2 weeks, obviously that would be wonderful news, because him and the Hornets, they've been a joy to watch, and this would just be an absolute bummer.
Yeah.
On a less bummery note, some guys returning from injury. I think Luka, I saw, is expected to play tonight. Aaron Gordon expected to play tonight for the Nuggets. So even in tough injury times, it seems like some guys at least are coming back. Which again, that's what we want to see. Guys going out there playing. Obviously, good news. In other news, the Bucks, another win. They're all the way up to 10-9. So after what was their nightmare start, I think they've rattled off 6 wins in a row now, all the way above 500.
Yeah.
I think they're all the way
That
up
was
to
one of the things I bookmarked. They're 8-1 since NBA Centel said that Doc Rivers informed the Bucks he'll start taking coaching, quote, seriously now.
Yeah, so I guess that's all.
8-1 since the Centel tweet, so sometimes they get it.
Yeah, and again, I think part of that it was soft schedule, part of it them figuring out, part of it, they still have one of the best players alive. Lillard's been shooting the ball well. They've got some things going, and it's a soft Eastern Conference, so their demise perhaps greatly exaggerated. It seems like some guys are figuring it out. Obviously, the Celtics and Cavs getting some separation, but Magic and Knicks also starting to put up some numbers, and then the Bucks not too far behind with some other teams. So the East is getting back into at least respectability, and the Bucks a big part of that, certainly. The Suns mentioned also getting back to healthy. They had gone like 1-8 without Durant. Durant playing again, and the Suns winning games again. Love to see that as well. Beyond that,
we love to see the Suns winning games, or just Durant being back.
Well, just love to see everyone. I love to see teams being healthy, superstars being healthy,
just playing
teams
their best, just teams getting their best shot.
Yeah, exactly. Like we always say, we want to laugh at our teams losing at full strength. It's just not even as fun if they're missing guys. It's just more sad. It's like you almost can't even enjoy it as much. So we always want our enemies to be embarrassing themselves at full strength. We don't want them to have any excuses.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Beyond that, I'll say right now, got the Rockets Thunder game. I'm watching live. It's tied at 104, 4.5 minutes left. Two of my absolute favorite teams, obviously the Thunder, have been one of the best teams, even with their big injury to Chet Holmgren. They've held on to the 1 seed in the West, and just incredible defense they play. But I want to talk about the Rockets a little bit. They've been, I know I said LaMelo was my league pass MVP as a player. As a team, for me, it's got to be the Rockets. They're just so fun to watch, such a fascinating team. The way they scramble around and play, especially on defense, they've got some guys coming off the bench, especially. Amen Thompson has become one of my favorite players in the entire league to watch. He's just devastating on defense. If he can get a little better on offense, he's going to be a legit star. That team, super deep, super scrappy. Obviously, they've got Ime coaching them. They had like the best plus minus in the third quarter. I think they recently asked Ime what he attributed that to, and he said obviously being able to cuss him out at halftime. So vintage Ime obviously has not changed one bit, but he's got the Rockets playing damn good ball. They're locked in a battle right now, and I think they're like third or fourth in the West, up at like 13-6 record or something like that. So they seem pretty legit. I think they might be like one guy away, if even. And the big thing for them is
they're second right now, 14-6.
Yeah, damn, there you go. So
not bad.
Again, they've got an interesting mix of like vets, young guys. And at some point, it seems like they might just need some type of consolidation, figure out like, okay, who are our actual guys, who's expendable. And we've talked about, if someone were to come available, would they give up a couple guys for like a Jimmy Butler, someone like that, and truly kind of go for it in a year where it seems like the West might be a little more wide open than maybe we had thought going into the year.
Jimmy Butler and Ime seems like that would be like a friggin' crazy.
True.
Like,
yeah. Yeah. I don't know that it'll even be available. But anyway, if there was a star that was up for the taking.
I like that. Just dip that out there just to try to just get the heat. Yeah.
What the hell?
Throw a little something out there, take
team,
the heat down a bit. That is a great segue into the next matchup, but I did want to also point out before the one thing I did have was the Wizards completed no-win November, didn't win a single game in all of November.
Yep.
That's just brutal and just got stink for Wizards fans. Their only wins come against the Hawks, though, who have beaten some good teams. So
yeah, and you say it stinks for the Wizards, but I mean, it's
probably what they want to do.
It does, but I mean, yeah, if there's a team, we've kind of talked about how much waiting in the middle is kind of fruitless. This is going to be a great draft. They picked the right time to fully tank. Lean into those young players. Play Sarr, play Koulibaly, who else? Keyshawn George and Bob Carrington. They drafted a lot of guys, young guys that I like. Play those guys. Jordan Poole, Kuzma, those guys are great tank commanding vets. So develop the young guys, get a top 5 pick. That would be the ideal outcome, I think, for the Wizards. It's their best path towards relevance is getting one of these top guys and hoping some of these young guys hit.
Yeah, well, not winning a game in an entire month is a great recipe if that's a goal. So
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
congrats to them.
Good for them. See?
All right, yeah. So
Positivity.
we were mentioning a little bit about the Heat. So this is, I think, the first time we played the Heat this year, right? We haven't played the Heat yet.
I don't think so.
I feel like the Heat Celtics obviously been a big rivalry the last few years. I do feel like it's kind of, I haven't really thought much about the Heat at all this year. They played a game tonight too, so they'll be coming off a back to back. They lost tonight too, so they'll be coming off maybe a little hunger off a back to back. What should we expect from the Heat? Is this still a team that's kind of like in the mix for stuff, or where are they at?
Well, they're teetering, I would say, more than anything. I think the big thing you mentioned tomorrow, both teams on a back-to-back. So, I mean, I'm very curious, like, if White and Brown out because of back-to-backness. We'll see if those guys are back tomorrow. I doubt. Does this mean Porzingis and Al both going to be out tomorrow? It'd be kind of weird.
I was wondering that when we were playing both of them today because they were both listed on the injury report.
Yeah. So
I was kind of surprised that they both played.
So, I mean, the Heat, obviously another veteran team that doesn't exactly always play all of their guys either. So we might see just a very odd matchup tomorrow. Very tough kind of bit of scheduling for both sides. But I mean, assuming we get close to resembling a real matchup, the Heat, we know what they are, I think, for the most part. If anything, this year they've leaned a lot more into Tyler Hero offensively. He's really become kind of their go-to guy on offense by necessity. Jimmy's been less reliable, kind of turns it on seemingly very rarely at this point in his career. Had some good games lately, but they are who they are. I mean, they'll keep games close, they'll scrap and claw, and they'll pull out a lot of games down the end thanks to really good coaching, obviously, and some clutch veterans. But this team has thinned out, they've gotten older, and I mean, I'll never fully write this team off and say leave them for dead, but it really just feels like they need to kind of make some move to usher in their next era of contention. But again, we've seen them go to the finals as an 8th seed before, so obviously they're a team that I think will still make the playoffs in the East and can do some damage. But man, the talent top to bottom is just not there the way it was a few years ago.
Yeah, it just feels like there's just no juice. I mean, I feel like I don't even see Heat fans on Twitter anymore. I feel like it used to be all I'd see is fucking Heat Nation and Jimmy Butler this and all that stuff. Yeah. So it does feel like there's just a lot of juice. But I mean, again,
maybe they're all hopefully.
Yeah, they may have well left for Bluesky. That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. So this is it's an exciting matchup. Hopefully, everyone will still be kind of getting up for it. I do. You're right about it. Could just be total Frankenstein lineups for both teams. Just given if White's out and if Jaylen's feeling better or not. Is this game? Are we going to there? Are they coming to us?
To be honest, I feel like Tatum's been
shocked if that happens.
You would be shocked if it happens?
Yeah, I feel like they have to lock Tatum in a locker in order for him to take the night off.
Yeah, well, they might do that.
Yeah, maybe. Well, it's at the Garden, so yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think he's going to do that in the Garden. I don't think. Maybe in Miami.
Maybe not. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. We mentioned a tough stretch of schedule, obviously coming up. I think it's 6 games in 9 days. I'm sure they'll get him a rest at some point. He's not going to play every game. And again, I wonder if maybe there was a little strategic thing with him and Brown. Maybe resting. Maybe him and Holiday will be out tomorrow night, and we'll see White and Brown back or something. Again, it'll be kind of weird with the bigs, but it might just be like a Cornette, Cada, Tillman night, which again is just an opportunity for guys. And I think no matter who we have out there, it'll be competitive. It'll be a good test, and we'll get some guys in there who are hungry, and hopefully a little extra juice from some of these Heat guys who are out there for them. So I'm looking forward to an opportunity to get back in the win call.
Yep. Yeah, no, it should be a great opportunity game. I think that's a good way to look at it. This is a big opportunity game. All right. So we'll be back here tomorrow night. Yeah, there's a tough schedule for the players, but for the podcasters too. It's a rough stretch of the schedule. And even worse, we don't even know what next week's schedule is going to look like because of the NBA Cup implications. So
exactly,
I'm basically booked for 2 weeks straight. I can't make any plans. So
exactly.
Not looking for any praise or anything like that, but tough stretch of the year for the podcasters. All right, yeah. So we'll see everyone back here tomorrow night. Shout out to nickpereno.com for all your real estate needs. Make sure you follow the show on Twitter at Chuddy's Corner. You can follow Chud at King Chuddy. You can follow me at Doug_outs. And make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to the podcast. Go to the YouTube page, subscribe to that too. Subscribe, follow, do all the works. Appreciate all the Chuddy heads out there. And we'll see everyone back here tomorrow night. Take care.
Peace out, Chuddy heads.